the second game week, second episode for the South African fantasy. South African fantasy football.
Football.
How is game week one, guys?
Shocking.
Not too
I
bad.
went I went with the risk of no Salah and I paid quite a heavy price.
I don't know. I did well, but I don't think you need to despair that much, particularly with the next few weeks coming up and how it's looking. I'm a bit concerned about what's in store. I think I based too much on game week one.
Yeah, I planned ahead for most of mine, so I think in general I'm okay. But I am reasonably worried that if Salah keeps a little bit of form going for a few weeks, it could get very ugly very quickly.
Fingers crossed that happens. I mean, I'm so glad I went with Salah and Haaland. I just feel grateful. You know, Bilal, your team was just lingering in my head after that last podcast, and I'm like, okay, the team is okay, but the best part about it is he managed to get both those big guys in. I need to make it work, and somehow I made it work. And I mean, I didn't have the greatest of game weeks, but I've had way worse game week ones over the years. So I'm taking what I got, and I'm looking forward to building on that.
We can look at the. We'll start off looking at the team of the week. I guess that's what I don't know if they call it the dream team, and that consists. I'll talk you through because you guys won't have the graphics up. But Nick Pope in goal as a goalkeeper, 9 points. Pedro Porro, 9 points. Veltman from Brighton, 8 points. Mezraoui from United, 8 points. Mohamed Salah, 14 points. Saka, 12 points. Mateo Kovacic from City, 11 points. Joe Linton, 11 points. Welbeck from Brighton, 12 points. Havertz was at 12 points as well. And Vissa, 11 points. So that was
A lot of randoms.
a lot of
A lot of
randoms.
randoms. Yeah.
It's actually a very much affordable team
Yeah.
if you have that. The one thing I'd like to point out first off the get-go, everyone was talking about goalkeepers. It's just to note that if you invested a little bit more in your goalkeeper, you scored higher. There was only one 4.5 goalkeeper that actually got a clean sheet. Everybody else conceded. And that was the Brighton, I think, Steele.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's just something to note. Like don't mize on your goalkeeper.
No, you're right. But everyone that went big at the back, I think at the start. So I mean, all the premium defenders on most of the teams kept the clean sheets or either got the goal. So it was worthwhile investing at, especially at the start for the premium defenders and keepers.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. What were your thoughts? Like anybody can jump in. What were your thoughts on game week one? Looking at the dream team, just talking about any of these players, anyone that you guys might feel potentially will be a next week as well.
I was happy
I
at
like
Saka. I
Mezraoui.
think that was critical for me. Havertz was one that I should have expected being there, to be honest. But I mean, I didn't expect Arsenal to actually perform that well against Wolves. But I mean, they seem to have dominated a lot of that game. So that it makes a lot of their assets, I guess, very appealing for the next few weeks, or at least guys to keep an eye on. I guess a few of the players in that team questionable. I didn't expect Porro to. Well, I mean, I should have from preseason. He got a couple of goals, so expecting him to be in the box there, heading one in from close range should have not come as a surprise. So I think a few of the players there were players that I considered. So Havertz being one of them at some point, and Porro being the other. But I had a choice, Solanke or Porro at the time, and I said let's go for Big Dom and see if he returns. But it was unfortunate. But yeah, I think a few of the guys there, and I guess a lot of the guys there, I probably still wouldn't bring in, even though they made the dream team this week. But I don't expect them to be there for continually rather.
And you,
No, so
Izzy?
I like Mazraoui, guys. Mazraoui, as soon as I seen that he was starting for United, I was like, ooh, keep an eye on this guy at that price point. Keep an eye on him. And he really had a good game. He had a really good game actually. And I think at that price point he's going to be very difficult to ignore, especially if United can keep the clean sheets and maybe get a few goals here and there. I think he's someone that really caught my eye. And because I had Odegaard, I really missed out on Saka. I missed out on Havertz as well. I didn't really think too much about having Havertz, but I really wanted Saka, and I couldn't fit him in. But now looking at how Arsenal played, Havertz might actually be a better route into that Arsenal team than Odegaard, for instance, who I had.
It's a great point to talk about a cheaper route into the Arsenal attack, because I don't know if Martinelli is worth it. I think Odegaard still he chips in a fair few assists and he's got that goal every now and then. And particularly, it seems like you want a player who's also going to feature in the big games. Um, so like when they play a top four team, when you're investing so much money, you still want them to get points, and it seems like Saka and Odegaard can get that. Harvard is still like I think he can, but I don't have any faith in anyone else. But Harvard is a cheap point into the team. It's nice to know that if you sacrifice Haaland, you can actually pick up top tier strike force and potentially go without Haaland. Like it's seemingly more possible now than anything. Um, After that, based on price points and how Arsenal are playing, I was really impressed with Arsenal playing in like how they played in general. They looked really good. To be honest, City looked really good as well.
Yeah, they
But
dominated Chelsea, but I don't know if City were really good or Chelsea were just being really bad.
um,
It's hard to tell.
what did you guys think of Chelsea?
They surprised me with a little bit more cohesion than I expected them to have, to be honest. I mean,
Mm,
they created a decent amount of chances here and there. Palmer looked good again, so I mean, with him in that team, they do look a different beast. But I guess there's just too much uncertainty with the way that squad is. I mean, Nkunku going off 59 minutes, my heart sank
I
really,
yeah.
really, really badly. I was in pain.
I didn't have faith in him at all. I was
Yeah, and I
avoiding him.
remember this
I
was.
didn't know why like so many people had him. Like it's just too risky. Also they Chelsea's got quite a few names on their transfer list as well now. I think Joao
Yeah,
Felix, and they're looking at a
Neto's
number
just
nine.
joined. João Felix is on the
Yeah.
way. Yeah, so he's becoming less appealing. I think he's probably got one more week in my team. Then I need to find a zero point 0.5 million to get rid of him. And Eze is looking like quite a attractive option.
If you want, let's go into your team. Then Rosine will go into your team after that. Um, so I'll just transition into your team, and um, I'll you can talk us through it, but I'll quickly run through your team. You had Henderson in goals, Gabriel, Alexander Arnold. Your Forest defender, his name is
Aina,
Aina.
yeah,
Saka
Ain.
and Kuku, Smith Rowe, Diego Jota, Haaland, Solanke, and Isak. And yeah, talk us through what you're thinking about doing for the next game week, and like yeah, just talk us through
Yeah, so I
your.
reflected, I guess, on a lot of the disappointments that my team had this week. So the Isak one was the red card just spoiled that game. And I mean, I think Newcastle at the start looked decent. He got the assist. You were thinking, hopefully they get another goal early and then they'll probably run through Southampton. But Fabian Shea had a moment, so it was unfortunate for all the FPL managers.
Was that a
Solanke, I
red
mean,
card?
I don't think so.
I also don't think so.
I don't think so. I think it was harsh. I think it was super,
Yeah.
super harsh. But I mean, the Premier League managers, oh sorry, referees have been questionable, and I mean, it was a game week one questionable behavior continued. So it's unfortunate. Solanke, good chances. I wasn't too unimpressed. I think Spurs created a lot of chances, so I'm happy to hold him at least for a couple of game weeks, hoping that he does come good. Aina, the injury at I think around 55 minutes was quite unfortunate because Forest also looked quite stable defensively. So, but also now with him being injured, and I think Forest also looking to sign Alex Moreno from Villa.
Yeah.
He's probably top of my list now to try and get rid of. But I'm considering a very dodgy move and saying going for a straight swap to Moreno because it's also at the same price point at 4.5 million. So especially at a very attacking fullback. So there's opportunities there, but I don't know if I trust Forest as much to keep their players. And then Kunku again, we spoke about it. Super disappointing, and also looking to get rid of him soon.
And I was really impressed with Solanke, like as a whole during the game. I thought he was unlucky. I think he'll perform. I'm kind of jealous that you have him in your team because my team is just so bad for the next 2 game weeks particularly. But yeah, I think like overall 60 points above average. Like
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad.
Still,
And I mean,
decent.
I thought to myself this morning, I'm like, why didn't I actually captain Saka for the game week and going Isak instead? I mean, Arsenal, you expected them to start off well. I think Saka would have been he's still the main man at Arsenal, right? No matter who else is there. So
I think there was
I don't know why he wasn't a consideration.
There was a big move to captain Isak. I'm still not convinced that, like, for instance, if you have Haaland, Salah as your prime picks,
Yes.
unless City are versing Liverpool, I don't really feel the need to look elsewhere just yet.
You're right. That's
until
so
he
true.
proves
That is
himself.
so true. Yeah.
No
hundreds.
Yeah.
And Mauricio, after you said that you don't believe the template is going to be a template this year, I really thought that maybe you wouldn't captain Isaac in game week 1. I just
went
thought
for the
maybe
template,
it would
man.
be a
I went for the
different
template, man.
captaincy picture.
Yeah.
It's just the fear against the promoted team that if he does get the points, falling so far behind in game. But I mean, to be honest, I felt so far behind because of all the Salah captainers anyway. So I guess it would have been worth going for a little bit differential with Saka.
It's 1 week.
Yeah, no, it is 1 week.
Razine, so before we get to Razine, just you mentioned a few moves that you were thinking about. Have you made any moves? Are you not thinking about rolling the transfer?
I haven't yet. So I'm still considering rolling because I think my bench is still decent to get me through the next game.
Okay.
I think I should be fine by just benching the injured Forest defender, and then hopefully, considering I guess a transfer, maybe even 2 transfers in game week 3 potentially, maybe even might take an early 4-point knock just to make me feel a little bit better. But I guess we'll consider. I'm actually hoping Kunku plays a few more minutes in the next, because I mean he was technically bought from game. I bought him early, pretty much for game week 2 onwards. So hopefully pays back a little bit and then doesn't give me that crisis to have to deal with at some point, and then can just deal with my defense first.
Okay. We'll go into Razine's team, so I'll just talk you through Razine's team as well. So Razine, you got 68 points. In your goalkeeper was Henderson. Then you had Pedro Porro, Kwanzaa, Hall, midfield Rogers, Salah captain, Odegaard, Madison, good pick, Nkunku, Isak, and Haaland. Then on your bench, Flecken, Barco. You had a Southampton defender, Howard, Ballas, and forward from Wolves, Fraser. Talk us through your team and any potential moves you're thinking about, your transfer strategy for game week 2, and your thoughts on game week 1.
I've got my Liverpool shirt on, and the first name that just stares me right in the eyes, Kwanzaa. I don't know what was going on in that first half. I really don't know what was going on in that first half. We just didn't look ourselves, and the move made me wonder, is it an injury? What's going on? We found out afterwards that it wasn't an injury. It was tactical, and now you think maybe Konate is going to start going forward. I don't know. What do you think about that, Bilal? But now, to make it even worse, his price went down. And I did not take him out of my team. So I'm stuck with a 4.4 million defender now in my team, and I don't know if he's going to play. And then to make matters a little bit worse, Barco was not playing either, and everybody said he's the 4 million defender to go for.
Yeah.
So defensive worries are really worrying. And we spoke about the goalkeeper situation already. I went with the 2 4.5s. I think I'm still happy to keep them and to go with their rotation because they both rotate well for the first 5 or 6 weeks. So we'll see from there. I'm just gonna hold my horses on that a little bit, but very, very, very disappointed about my defensive woes there. But what do you guys think, Kwanzaa? What to do with Kwanzaa?
I'm in the same boat as you, and firstly, I'm a little bit jealous of you because you actually got goalkeepers to rotate. I don't even have that, so I'm in a very similar boat to you. I think to address your first question, like Kwanzaa, based on what everyone is saying and that, like, I'll be honest with you, when we go to my team, I sold him already. I think like you just have to, but I don't think at the end of the, because 4.5 you can get good decent replacements that play every week.
Yeah.
That's the downside. Barco, I don't think you need to stress too much too quickly, but I think he's going to be third choice effectively, so he's
He's
not
linked
worth.
with a move away
Yeah,
today in the
he
news. A loan move to Sevilla.
he needs to go out as well. So
Yeah.
it was a bad move. I feel like it's a giant meme from all the community members that have been
Yeah.
posting it, because it's like this is why, like, also I try not to go with unknown players. Like,
Yeah.
normally for the first game week you still want to go trusted, reliable. They're gonna start, but um, yeah. So both I think need to go eventually, and the sooner the better. I don't think you need to wildcard just yet for it, because it's just two players. But Kwanzaa, I feel like now that he's 4.4, um, you don't need to particularly rush it if you can rotate. But like, looking at your team, it's a bit hard for you to rotate because you got two 4.0 defenders. So your only option is to go for another 4.0 defender. Otherwise, you're only playing two defenders, so it's a big.
The advantage is that I do have zero point 0.5 in the bank, but I just feel a bit
Okay.
bad now about taking him out because his price drops. I don't really want to lose team value so quickly.
So I'll give you, like, I was gonna speak about it later, but might as well speak about it now. I think what I was thinking about it as well. I was in the same boat, thinking. What I actually think, even if you lose, get a 4.5, or because I think in the future you'll be able to use that additional 0.4, or that wasted 0.4 elsewhere. A nice person to look out for is Kieran Trippier. He's an FPL
Mm.
point machine when he
Gem.
comes in.
Gem.
Whether he
Yeah.
starts or not, I'm not too sure, but he's dropping in price. He's 6, he's going to be 5.9. And my thoughts was, initially when I was thinking about leaving Kwanzaa, and my thought process was that eventually I'll have that 0.4 left over, and I'll sell Pedro Porro for Trippier when the time is right, or I'll have to sacrifice like someone in my team, like a Bruno Fernandes in my team. But look for defenders like that. There's a few. Everton have that defender that was really performing for them last season, that's injured at the start. There's a few defenders,
Brathwaite, yeah.
that are out, that will drop by 0.1, and you won't have wasted that. So I don't think I think you need to just get a defender in that you
Yeah.
know will
I'd bite
get
the
you
bullet
points.
and not worry about
Yeah,
team value losing, because what can happen with Kwanzaa, it could get worse.
yeah.
Because if more people transfer him out, it could be a 4.3 situation.
But maybe he gets another go at the weekend and he performs also. One
Possibly.
more game,
I,
maybe one more game.
it's a risk, but I feel based on it, Konate is starting unless Konate gets injured. I don't uh, I don't see it. I don't see it
So
happening.
did you get him out before or after the price
No, I
rise?
got
Did
him
you
out
beat the price
before.
rise?
I got him out before.
Lucky you, Bilal.
I,
I don't transfer early anymore. I eat that price drop or the price
I
going up. I
I
just
normally
accept it
do
with
as
full face.
well, but I was just
Yeah.
because I guess I'll explain it when I go through my team.
Mm.
But yeah, I'll explain it when I go through my team. Resin, like,
If we
talk
move,
us
if we
talk
move
us through what
forward
you're
into the
thinking
midfield,
about the
we go
next
into the
game.
midfield of my team. You mentioned about getting unknown players in. There was one unknown player that I went for, but thankfully Mohamed Wasim made him known to me. And Rogers, even though he might not have returned and done very well, he really impressed me in that game.
He
He's
passed
playing
the eye
right
test, man.
behind.
Yeah,
Oh
he passed
wow,
the
he's
eye
playing
test.
right
That
behind
guy is
Watkins.
proper.
He's the perfect route into that Villa team if you can't get Watkins, and most people can't at the moment. I'm happy with him. I'm happy to keep him, and I'm really looking forward to what's in store from him. He might just be the guy this year. So hopefully he's that cheap midfielder and that best in that price bracket midfielder to go with. I actually don't really know what I want to do in terms of transfers this week because of the whole Kwanzaa thing that's lurking at the back of my mind, but I might just transfer him out if I can. Maybe I'll bank the transfer, but it just depends on how things look in the press conference on whether or not he's going to get another chance. And yeah, probably going to leave it very late this game week, that move, if I do make one.
Did you catch the Spurs game?
I did catch the Spurs game.
Well,
I was very happy that I went with Madison. I think that Solanke was impressive, even though he didn't get any returns. I think Son was very disappointing.
Mm.
Son was very disappointing in the game. And yeah, but there's one man that really stole the show for me. Jamie Vardy, he's
Eh,
back, and he's back with an opening weekend goal. What
I
more could you have
yeah.
asked for? Did you see how he downed the Red Bull at halftime?
It was amazing. It was
I'm
What a
I'm
amazing.
man.
I'm happy that because nobody spoke about him and we spoke about him.
Yeah.
It was nice to see him score. I have faith in Vardy. Like he's
I
Vardy.
can't say that it was really nice to see him score a goal. It was a painful experience watching the utter domination in that first half to go and get a sucker punch like that and then almost concede twice to you was pain.
Um, I'll go through my team next. I touched on it quite a bit already, and then so I'll just talk you through. I got 79 points, so I did really well, considering um, like I guess you two, but
The rest of us, yes.
but like nothing like superb. It's nice. I feel happy, but I'm worried about the next few game weeks. Um, I had Henderson as my goalkeeper, Pedro Porro, Hall from Newcastle, Alexander Arnold, Kwanzaa as well, which I put in last minute. Overall, it didn't really affect my total, but my overall plans it affected a lot because I took out Saliba for Porro, which obviously gave me some point advantage, but that meant that I had Kwanzaa in my team, um, which doesn't look good anymore. I'd rather have Saliba right now because Porro is doubtful
No
and
doubt.
Kwanzaa is probably not going to start. I had Smith Rowe play Mohamed Salah captain, Semenyo, which I'm really happy about. But he doesn't like I saw Bournemouth sign the striker now,
There, Evan
and
Nielsen, yeah.
I have faith he'll start, but without him being in that forward position, he kind of loses a bit of value in my eyes. I had Bruno Fernandes, who I thought was unlucky, and he impressed me quite a bit. Haaland and Isak, and then my bench was Barco, didn't play, Muniz from Fulham, and Harry Winks. I touched on my transfer. I took out Kwanzaa. I actually brought in Robinson from Fulham, and
Nice.
Robinson was definitely not my first choice to bring in. And I'll talk through when we go through the other players who I really wanted to bring in. But in terms of my defense, in game weeks 2 and 3, Liverpool, I think Newcastle play Spurs somewhere in I think game week 2, I think
Game
it's
week
3.
three.
So
Game
I have
week
two
three.
players versing each other, and then I think Liverpool are also playing. I'm not sure who Liverpool are playing actually, but there's a few clashes in my team, so it seems very much that I needed just a safe pick, someone who's going to play 3 games. That's three for the next 3 game weeks without any clashes. So that's why I went with Robertson. Um, I'm concerned about the rest of my the rest of my options. I think I'm going to be playing my wildcard early. I think I'll be playing a free transfer every week until then as well. I won't be rolling off transfers because I need to get rid of Barco. But at the same time, I actually really want to bring in a Chelsea defender. I'm considering it, but there's only 2 options, and I feel like for the fixtures, I'm considering either bringing in Gusto or Correa. Correa's,
I'm not excited about Chelsea, yeah.
I don't
I'm
know,
not excited about Chelsea in general. But
I,
their coach gave me a little bit of confidence
mm,
this week, saying, pushed we're only training with 21 players, we've put the rest to go train on their own. So maybe he's either selling us a dream or he's selling us lies. So
um, I'm not sure. I'm hopeful. That's my my thing. Like just looking at it, we can touch on it. I'll transition us to the next phase. So yeah, we're gonna start off with the fixtures for game week 2. So I'll just go through that, and then we can gather our thoughts on that. What fixtures you're looking at, um, and what fixtures maybe wants to avoid, might be a bit difficult for players that we have already, or players that are highly owned. So game week 2 on Saturday, the early kickoff is Brighton versus Manchester United, and then the afternoon kickoffs we have Palace versus West Ham, Fulham versus Leicester, Manchester City versus Ipswich Town, Southampton versus Nottingham Forest, Spurs versus Everton, Aston Villa versus Arsenal is the late game on Saturday. Sunday morning we have the 2 afternoon kickoffs: Bournemouth versus Newcastle, Wolves versus Chelsea, Liverpool versus Brentford. So yeah, any I guess the just the obvious one that sticks out is Man City versus Ipswich.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, is it too early for a triple captain Haaland
So
game week 2?
that's my big thing. Like my if you noticed in my team, I only have Haaland. I have no Arsenal. My big thing is this week. What if I didn't have defensive problems? I'd push tooth and nail to get a City player in. Just it's just too good looking not to do. Unfortunately, I couldn't. Um,
Do you consider Lewis?
no, I wouldn't. I don't feel like Lewis is long term right now, and right now I'm suffering
Okay.
so much with my short term picks that I'm having a
You
bit of
can't
regret.
compound. You can't
Yeah.
compound the short-term picks.
So I'll actually,
Yeah.
if we, I'll try and get us get a good look at some of the players. So um, I'm scrolling through all the players that we've either discussed already or um, we suggested that we'd want to take a look at. So first player that like while we on the topic of City, first player I got up here is Bernardo Silva, midfielder at 6.5. Based on their injuries, like Bob is now out. Um, he's playing kind of all over the show, Bernardo Silva. But the fact is, he's playing all the time. Whether
Yeah.
he plays a bit more deeper, a bit more forward, he's playing. So I think he's worth a look at. I think he's one
His
player
role
to.
probably becomes risky now that they're looking to bring Gundogan back. So
Yeah,
that might impact his minutes there. And
and
Foden's a bit, I guess, more fit now as well. And
yeah,
but I guess Savino's injury also makes him a little bit more um,
yeah.
not necessary for them to play. And with Rodri still not being back, I mean, he hasn't. I don't even think he was on the bench in the weekend. So he's probably still got a couple of weeks till he starts. So Bernardo Silva looks nailed at least for a few games.
I don't really want to be playing Pep Roulette so early in the season, so going with
Fair.
players that are not nailed on is difficult. And I'm just very glad that I have Haaland, so I don't really think too much about having another player from the team.
Um,
I contemplated Doku as well with Bernardo Silva because they both come in at 6.5.
okay.
I thought about it and said, hey, I don't
Then
know if I don't trust Doku.
to pick your brain a bit more, say you're someone like me, that doesn't have funds for 6.5. Like I have Semenyo and Smith Rowe. I was actually looking at Kovacic as a short term 3 game week option, 5.5. You don't expect much from him, but he did get in the points. But also, like it's Ipswich, West Ham, Brentford the next 3 games. I think like he's worth like if someone's really desperate to get a City player in the midfield and doesn't have the funds for Bernardo Silva or Dorku, then I flagged him as a potential short term option for the next.
I think if he was on set pieces, I'd probably be more tempted. But
Mm.
I think the way he plays, and I guess this one, I mean, he waltzed through, I guess, the Chelsea defense to score his goal. But I don't know if I don't know if I'd be willing to take that punt.
Okay, just an
Yeah,
option.
yeah, I
Um,
don't.
See
some
it
I'm not
happening.
sold on it.
the next player just to flag. Momusim, you mentioned Eze. Um, I did not watch the Palace game, although I heard quite a bit about it.
I don't know how he didn't get that goal. It's actually shocking. It was corruption. That's the only way I can describe it, that he didn't get given that goal. It was, but I mean, like again, as expected, he passed the eye test, right? He looked great. Literally everything from Palace came almost through him. So he looks like still to be the main man there. And I guess now with Mateta also fit, and then even when Edward came on, they still looked really threatening and stuff through him. And I think he's on a lot of the set pieces as well. So he becomes a very good option. And I think the way they play under Glasner, they're always going to be an attacking threat. So I think he's a great option. I initially had him instead of Solanke at some point. So I was debating effectively between those two, and then I threw Porro in towards the end as well. And then I think my Spurs bias kind of took over then towards the end. But I still see Eze as someone that even Kunku doesn't work out. if I can find 0.5 somewhere to upgrade Nkunku to Eze, I think I'll probably take that bet soon enough because I think the fixtures also aren't too bad. So I'd definitely be plotting to get him in if he gets a decent return this week.
Okay, we'll move on to the next player. So I flagged on my team, like I flagged Malo Gusto. We spoke about him already, and Kukurea. I just want to talk through their fixtures so you can see why. The next 6 fixtures, they got Wolves away, Palace at home, Bournemouth away, West Ham away, Brighton at home, Forest at home. And the way I feel they play, I feel the defenders, one, they potentially clean sheets, but the two of them in particular with their attacking threat, both of them are more attacking than anything.
Yeah.
I think there are points to be had. I wish I had that 0.5 to upgrade Kwanzaa to one of them. I didn't. My next consideration was taking out Poro, but the fact is I just didn't have enough defenders playing, so I had to sacrifice Kwanzaa for Robertson, and I feel I might not make this move just based on after those 6 game week fixtures. They don't have particularly good fixtures. Both Malagusto and Kukurea got good replacements in Reece James and Chilwell, so I think they're very short pick options.
The
But both of them
managers
are,
like that
yeah.
was like an outcast. He's like Sterling. The pair of them have no chance of minutes at Chelsea, apparently.
Yeah, but you never know, an injury or. But I guess anybody can get injured. But I still think they got.
But they'll
decent
probably sign
replacements.
another 6 players before the transfer window ends. So I mean, I don't think they have that issue.
Okay, then the next player to flag, we spoke about him already a little bit. It was Kai Havertz. I also agree. I would consider dropping Isak for Kai, based on the teams, Arsenal and Newcastle. They there's a great difference between the teams. One's competing for the champion, to be champion. Newcastle are nowhere close to that level, and that alone is enough to sway me.
And I think you can triple up Arsenal for the season if you really want, just because how good they've been, I guess, the past 2 seasons,
Yeah.
and potentially how good they could be now. So Havertz, Saka, and one of Gabriel and Saliba, I think you can just set and forget those three, play them for 38 games in the season if they fit, and rotate the rest of your team.
Yeah, Razine, you also spoke about Havertz. How would you get him into your team if like, would you sacrifice Isak? Would you consider that, or right now, no?
Right now, probably not. It's just someone I was thinking of long term if Odegaard doesn't really pull up his socks a little bit. And I think I just thought of him based on how he performed and like, he might just be a better route than Odegaard into the team if you can't get Saka. But I think Saka's probably still first choice if you can afford him. But based on the tight budgets that we all have, like, and me, I have a very cheap third striker. So if I were to switch things up a little bit in terms of getting more of a strike force, 3-man strike force in, then I think I might consider him.
Okay.
I could always downgrade Odegaard to a cheap midfielder and then upgrade my cheap striker who doesn't ever play. I think Fraser is his name. I could upgrade him to Havertz, just depending on availability and stuff like that.
Would you consider Salah or Haaland sacrifice
Yeah.
Right now,
for him?
definitely not. But I'm gonna need to hide behind the couch over here when Haaland takes on Ipswich because I really don't want to see what he does to them. And yeah, I don't want to have to. I don't want to have to make it put myself in a position like that. So keeping Haaland is utmost priority right now.
Yeah, fair.
Next player to talk about is someone you flagged, Razine, Mesraoui. 4.5 United. I did not watch the game. I was working actually, but uh, yeah. Tell me about Mesraoui. Why are you looking at him so closely?
That lad is impressive. I'm not gonna lie. He looks like his head is in the right place. He knows what he wants. You don't really see players go to Manchester United with that mentality, or when they do, it usually changes after a while. But something about this lad that just makes me want to keep an eye on him, and he's someone I'm not gonna like probably from a rivalry point of view going forward, and that's definitely a good thing for fantasy.
Any thoughts on Mesraoui, Mohamed Wasim?
I think he's a decent pick. So as soon as I signed him, I considered him as so I was debating Aina instead of having other players instead of him. I just didn't like United's fixtures, I think, at the start of the season. It looked very on and off at some point. So I said I'm probably not going to look at them yet. And plus I also wanted to see that, I mean, with Maguire now fit again, Martinez fit again, Mazraoui playing. Also didn't know who was specifically going to play left back. I thought he might play left back and then let Dallo play right back because I know he can play both sides. So I want to see how he plays, and then I guess if he gets forward enough, because I just a Ten Hag team at the moment at United, I just don't trust them defensively over the long term. But I mean, they did look reasonably solid against Fulham. I
Hmm.
don't think Fulham created a crazy amount of chances, maybe besides at the start with Adama running through the whole team with his pace and strength. But aside from that, I think they didn't look too great. So um, I'm hoping that if they can keep it up, I guess for a couple of weeks, I think is a nice, cheap, solid option. But fixtures do have put me off against United or for United over the
Yeah,
next few, I think.
I think the same reason why I didn't take him. Uh, I think 4.5 United defenders is someone to look at and keep a close eye on. But fixtures wise, I was also a bit put off, and I mentioned it hundreds of times already that I needed someone good for the next 3 or 4 fixtures, and United just aren't there. Razine, if you didn't miss the price drop, do you think you would have swapped straight Kwanzaa Mazraoui?
I might have considered it. I might have considered it. I feel like his form is there, and he looks like someone who might be an integral part of lifting Manchester United in these difficult games. So I might have considered, even though there are other options. I like your Robinson pick. There are a few other players. I think Anderson as well.
Hmm.
But yeah, I might have actually just went with it. Impulse move if I didn't miss that price drop.
Okay. Next player, just to touch on, is Brian Mbuemo. Razine, you also flagged him. Um, Fixtures look a bit difficult. Liverpool,
They
Southampton, City,
do.
Spurs. But
No, they do. It's more of a long-term thing. I feel Tony wasn't anywhere near the squad. He's probably going. He's on his way out, I think. And Mbomo's probably gonna have say he's gonna have penalties, so that might be something to look out for. He looks like he's playing a bit more advanced. So I didn't watch much of the Brentford game, but from what I saw, he looks like the guy to watch there. So just someone I'll keep my eye on in the long run, not for this week, but yeah, long term.
I watched the Brentford game. I is the main guy. It
where
seemed
Yeah.
it
where's
was very similar last season when Tony was out. Everything went through him. Again, even this weekend, everything went through him.
where is Tony going? Is there any rumor?
Saudi Arabia, by the looks of things at the moment.
Okay, it's a
That's
bit
the latest news I read
bit
yesterday today.
disappointing.
Mm.
I'm not convinced of Mbeumo just based on the price point, but I think what you guys said is true. His Brentford play a certain type of football, and you expect them to create chances, particularly against everyone. To be honest, they tend to upset a lot of the big teams and get on the score sheet just by the way they play. Um, like I don't like him because he always punishes Liverpool. But I guess, like you said, Razine, in fantasy, that's what you want. But yeah, no, I'll definitely keep an eye on him. I think this is the last player we're going to speak about is Brighton Yankuba
Minty.
Minte. Minte. I feel
So
like
I,
you
I
put
didn't
that
know
one
this
in
guy
just to
until
test me.
until I, yes, it was mainly. But I mean, I watched this guy, and I mean, for 5.5 million, a starting midfielder that's playing a very creative role is is a steal. I think the price point. So I've been looking at these gems because I'm hoping to catch a Palmer early of last season. So that's why I've been very keen on Rogers, and I've got this guy on my watch list to say that if I ever need to find funds somewhere and I need to downgrade one of my midfielders, so I couldn't probably push funds elsewhere, and maybe a consideration even Kunku doesn't go, downgrade to this guy, and then push Solanke up potentially to Havertz is a potential ploy for me at some point in time if Spurs don't come as good as I'm hoping they will be. So I think he's got a lot of potential, and I think he's been playing a lot. I mean, from what I've read after this game week one, he was quite influential in the preseason, and I mean he started off quite well this week. I think he got an assist for one of the goals that they scored. So I'm keeping a close eye on this guy.
Yeah,
I love how you're making these unknown players known to us, and you'll just find them in my team next week again because the Rogers one was super impressive. I mean, you
Nah,
really
he's good.
sold him to me last
He's
week.
really
You
good.
sold him to me last week, and he literally made it worth it when I watched him play. And I was like, okay,
Nah,
this is
he's a good player. You can see he gets into good places. It's just a matter of time before the goals come.
Yeah, like I didn't watch the Brighton game, even though they were pretty good. I think they won 3-0.
3-0, yeah.
Yeah. But from what I read, he was very impressive. What are your other thoughts on the other Brighton players? Just to cut in, like Mitoma was also someone that was not really spoken about early. No one really had him. He impressed as well. And Welbeck, I don't know, like what you guys make of Welbeck as well. 5.5 forward. I mean, he's got a goal and assist.
He doesn't feel like someone you want in your FPL team for some strange reason. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just history of him not performing, I guess, at a lot of the clubs that he has been. But like it's just something in my head says like, do you really want to add Welbeck to your team? There must be better options somewhere else, right?
He doesn't have the best fitness record either.
Mm. But I guess one of the disappointments from Brighton, I think, was João Pedro, and I think he hit the post in the game. So
Yeah,
I know he was a
He went
popular
left
pick
and
earlier.
he's also 5.5.
Yeah, I think he's around that price range too. So
I think
there's
one
actually
like the consistency that you need in FPL is always like
mm,
that. You'll have a few great games here and there, but he just doesn't have a good string of games or a good run of games.
And I agree with you. I think also we got to look at the fixture that they played. I think Everton are in for a rough time.
no, they were bad. They
They're
were really bad.
looking at the defense. They don't have defenders right now, and apart from injuries, now they got a red card, and they haven't really invested well. And I think they're one of the teams to target. To be honest, if
Yeah,
if someone's playing Everton, I'm paying close attention to it, and
hundreds.
I think that it's one of the teams to target. Just something fun to talk about. I know people go. There's a lot of people that go according to analytics stats, and they base their teams on that. That seems like the logical thing. We know fantasy is not logical at all. um, every year, there's one player that starts to get points, and everybody's like, "This is a once-off. This is not going to happen every week.
Mm.
This is another Michu." Diariari was like that. Everyone was like, "No, it's a once-off. It's a once-off. It's a once-off." Do you guys feel like any player so far? You're like, "Hey, he's got points, but I don't see him getting points again." And anybody you can think of?
Not
Vardy.
yet. Yeah, maybe Vardy
I
actually
think
could be
so.
a big one.
Hmm.
You're right. Yeah, that's true.
So just like looking at the team of the week, Vissa, Joe Linton, guys, I definitely don't think so.
I'm not convinced. Yeah, I'm not convinced they either.
If
Because
Welbeck,
last season the ones that hurt me was
Mbeumo,
Burmo.
yeah,
So he had a great run. I never got a point from him the entire season. Gordon for the entire season, never had Gordon for the entire season last season. So I like there were a couple of days where I kept convincing myself like maybe I can try and find the points elsewhere. And I mean they did hurt me I guess throughout the season, but um this season I don't know if there's anyone yet that's done that, and I'm hoping it's one of the cheap players that I own
yeah.
that does that for me, and then
So
other
Newcastle seem
people
to
are
do it a
saying
lot. That's why I'm looking at Joe
yeah,
Linton. But he's, I mean,
possible.
I don't think none of us are going to predict that. I'm hoping it's Semenyo, but I always feel like fantasy always has that player that from nowhere just every
I
week
think
delivers.
yeah, and I think that Bournemouth striker he comes with a lot of decent like
Yeah, from
history
Porto, I think.
from Porto, yeah.
Yeah,
And I mean I've played Football Manager a lot in my life, and they're really decent at picking up like really solid wonder kids and like really good players. So
yeah.
I think that he'll probably be someone to watch because I mean if you look at Solanke under Iraola last season scored 19 goals in the league, and that Bournemouth team wasn't great, right? So
Mm.
I think this guy, if he can adjust to the league quite quickly, I think he's also at 5.5. So if he can get going, he'll be a good option to potentially keep an eye on.
And vice versa, like there's always a player that has really good underlying stats that always fails to deliver. I remember last season, I think last season or the season before, Benduia was targeted to be
Yes.
one of those players, and then if you had
Yes.
him in your team, he just never delivered.
It's nothing.
A few
Absolutely
times
nothing.
Zaha also has been, like put up there. Wilfred Zaha kind of failed to deliver. I'm not sure. I'm hoping it's actually not Fernandez, because
I was gonna say Fernandez. I was kind of hoping it is Fernandez.
it could be. And it could be the other way around, where Garnacho is the one to get on
Yeah.
the score sheet quite a bit. The other player, Smith Rowe, everybody talks about him getting into dangerous positions, but if he doesn't finish, sometimes it's just not
It
there.
doesn't
Doesn't
help.
click.
Yeah.
He could be one that gets sold really quickly in the next few weeks as well.
Yeah.
But it's
And in the
But as soon as there becomes another cheap option available, players like Smith Rowe around that price range, if you find someone that's performing, those guys get moved on super quick.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's possible.
I liked Szoboszlai for Liverpool this week. Let's see, I think he's 6.5 and he was playing very advanced central. It looks like the goals are going to come soon. So I hope I'm right there and we get to see some good goals from him.
He got
He's getting forward
returns.
much more.
He got a return already. He got an assist, right?
Yeah.
So he could be one that really gets going and
And what is he, 7.5 or something?
he's 6.5.
6.5.
6.5.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's a Nkunku swap.
Ooh,
Triple Liverpool. Yeah, I'm
man.
on. Right, that's what I'm doing this week.
But it's a long season, so not to get too hopeful, but not to get too despondent. It's one game week at a time. Now, to be honest, now fantasy really starts. Now it's the long haul and the slow changes, one move tinkers,
and that's the best
deciding
part.
whether to roll a transfer or not.
Yeah.
Because now you have your 15 players, and these are your guys that you have to deal with going forward. You don't have this big pool to pick from anymore. You know where to zoom in, and you know who to watch as well. So this is the best part of the season. I can't wait to get into it properly.
Okay, and anything else you guys want to add or talk about for the session?
I think I'm good. I just want to find out whoever's playing Everton and make sure I at least have one of their attackers in
I can
my
put
team.
up the fixtures and I'll talk it
going
through.
to be
I'll put up the
that's
fixtures
going to be
again.
critical.
So Everton are playing Spurs. That's why I was so
Spurs,
jealous about Solanke.
That's what I'm saying. The Solanke one is going to hopefully come big.
To be honest, if I had Solanke, okay.
Pedro Porro, will he play?
I don't know. So the thing is, after the game, he didn't look like. Well, I've seen a picture that's appeared that he didn't have any swelling on his ankle, because they felt that he rolled his ankle in the game, and that's why they took him off as a precaution. But apparently, he seems okay, so hopefully he should play.
But if he is out, will Spence play?
Spence will likely play, I suspect.
Okay. I'm hoping he plays, because I have no depth in my team. Literally no depth in my team.
I haven't seen training pictures and the likes yet, so we'll probably see some stuff. And Angie is quite honest in his interviews, so he'll probably give an indication if he's fit or not.
I've made my transfer, so if he's out, I can't do anything. Now. I have Semenyo on the bench, but he'll come on. Nothing I can do really. Okay, and I guess we'll take it again next week then.
Yeah.
And thanks for all the opinions. It was a good game week, and hopefully
for you.
We're all above average. We're all above average. I think you'll notice it if in the first few game weeks, the first 5 game weeks, you'll be if you're above average, you get the green arrow.
You're okay.
But one
then
game
the consistency can come. You just need the confidence and the willingness to not take the extreme risks and try and differential every week, and then
I feel
your team is full of differentials.
I feel a wild card.
Avoid that game week 3 wild card, Bilal. Hang in there. You're doing well. You're above us. Sorry for not for too long, but you're above us for now.
I don't have City. I don't have Arsenal in great numbers. Like it's risky. I think those two are just too consistent teams not to have. Like I have to address that very soon.
Let's see what happens. Looking forward to game week. Bring them on.
Last question quickly before we end. do you guys have any goals for fantasy when you guys play fantasy?
It's a tough one, but I generally try to finish. So I always have the aim to finish top 100K most seasons, which is, I guess, a big number. But I try not to set the deep expectations. Once I start getting closer to the top 50K, 10K, then I can set the greater goals. But I guess top 100K most of the time is what I look for.
Yeah, I think you don't want to finish too low, but I think mini leagues are what drives us also.
Mm.
This season, my goal is to beat you lads.
Yeah, it does add that incentive. I also I agree. Mini leagues is what drives me. I don't like. I like the overall rank. I think the first few weeks I always say I'm gonna win the whole thing, so I just play like to my heart's content. But then once you get into the top half of your mini league, you start to look at your opponents and your colleagues and in and around the league, and you don't want to mess things up. So you
So last season I was very disciplined. I never looked at the mini leagues like throughout the
I
season.
think
I
that's
avoided looking at it in general, saying I don't want to look at this thing. I'm just trying to get the highest points I can get for this next game week.
if you can do that, that's key. I think. But I do like the Lodium League as well. I think just from
Yeah.
a community standpoint of view. So I try and
No,
like my goal is always to be top 50 in that league because then that means you're on the
Yeah.
first page. And
No, the first page, 100%. That is the main thing.
yeah, but we'll see. From next week, I'll have everybody's points updated. I didn't want to put it this week because it's just the first week. Doesn't really have a good reflection on anything.
Yeah, and then
But-
showing myself as 3 point something million in the world is just like it's bad for like my soul.
I'll work on that and update it. But thanks again for joining. We'll check in again next week and happy fantasy.
Sounds good. Good luck, guys.
thank you guys. Cheers for now.